Knew it was going to be a tough game on the road. Team had won all their games at home. First conference game against us. Knew they were going to be fired up, and just blessed to be able to get out of here with a win.
Questions? Penny, I know it's tough right now, but do you have an update on Caleb? Is he?
We don't know for sure, but it seems like it's bad. It's not good.
What did you? I mean, it looked like he slipped.
He didn't slip. It just gave out. Yeah, it gave out. He didn't slip.
What did he say to you when
He said it was his kneecap, and when he went to go explode, I think that's when whatever happened, whether it was patella, whether it was kneecap dislocation. Dislocated his kneecap or patella, one of those.
The second half, is that just guys being distraught by what they saw? I mean, that was obviously a horrific scene with Caleb.
As much as what you want to say, it wasn't. He was out there on the table just crying his eyes out. And it's hard for his teammates to look at that because he's a fifth-year senior that came here to do things differently and want to, finish his career out on a high note and then end up, getting could be season-ending injury with the way that we're playing. That was tough on everybody.
So you're reserving, you're not thinking one way or the other until you get like official diagnosis?
Yeah, I'm just going to wait until the official diagnosis.
Can you describe what happened on the last play, like coming out of the timeout, and working the clock down, and then putting the ball in JQ's hands?
Yeah, it was a new play. Obviously, JQ threw it to Nick, and Nick threw it back to JQ, and JQ made a play. It wasn't a play that I initially ran, but there was a wrinkle to it, and JQ made a big shot.
Aside from Caleb's injury, what do you think kind of fundamentally went wrong or differently in the second half when you guys were up 14 and kind of hammering that team?
Yeah, they picked up their energy. They did a great job. I told Coach I watched a lot of their games, man. They do a great job here. So, you go out in the second half up 14, thinking that you have the game won. The game is nowhere near over, obviously, as we saw. And I've watched enough film on them where teams have had them down here at home 5-6 times, and they come back every time and make heroic plays. So they've been in that position before. Thank God we've been in close games as well. And out of our 14 games, we probably won 9 or 10 of them, very close games. So we didn't panic. They made the shots they had to make, and we ended up closing it out.
I know your frustration level was kind of through the roof, obviously, after Austin Peay, and it seems to be high now. But at least tonight, do you give your team a certain amount of a pass, right, after what happened in the first half, what they experienced?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, no matter how I try to, think about the game, it's still hard to watch your brother down there. I mean, he was crying. Like, I know my season, he feels like his season is over. So, I mean, that doesn't sit well with the guys.
I don't know, just how do you digest something like that in the moment? I mean, you came out and helped Daryl and Darby carry him off, and you got all that going in your head, and then you've got the game to worry about, and now you've got a quick turnaround with SFU coming into town on Sunday. How do you even begin to, digest and compute all that?
It's hard. It really is hard because I thought about, forget the young man's name, was in West Virginia doing the NCAA tournament when Bob Huggins was there, and he knew that his season was over. Really good player, probably his best player. Then I thought about Ware for Louisville, and how it affected Louisville right at the time. And all this stuff went through my mind that quickly because it's like the way he was screaming and the way he was hurting, it was like you knew it wasn't good. And to know that his college career could be over on that just, for a guy that had 6 knee surgeries on the same knee, it just hurts you.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of basketball from different vantage points at different levels. What does it take for a team to get out of that mental shock, moving forward here and kind of rally behind Caleb?
I think with some time, with everybody understanding what it is, we'll have to regroup and still never lose sight of, Caleb being a part of our family. But I think after the game, you can kind of settle in a little more. But during, it's like because those guys are these are fifth-year guys, a lot of these guys, and they were seeing Caleb go out and like, man, that could have easily been me. And that starts to go through their head. So it's never good when that happens.
Coach, it looked like Quinterly had lost his composure a little. He tried to foul Williams on the trip down court, and he made the out-of-bounds foul with the clock stopped, butting his head into Haggerty, but you were still happy to see him take that last shot. I guess you have a lot of trust in him in that regard.
Yeah, I do have a lot of trust in him. I was obviously a little disappointed that he lost his composure. Haggerty fouled him at half court, and all he had to do was bring the ball back out, and he lost the ball.
Yeah.
And then he came down after a score, and then gets the offensive foul, and then now you're losing it. You got to be more composed than that. Was definitely happy that he composed himself enough to come back and hit the shot. But fifth-year senior, we want to go a long ways. Things like that are going to happen again. You just have to be able to control it. I'm sure he'll do better the next time.
Last question.
Penny, kind of a two-part question, but it seemed like maybe the last 8 minutes or so of the first half, there was glimpses of the team that beat those top 25 teams for the first time in a couple weeks there. What's it going to take to extrapolate that, right, and carry it over throughout the rest of the conference slate versus what we saw in the second half carrying over?
Man, that's a good question. It's a tale of two halves. It's happened to us a lot this year. Happened at Ole Miss. Had a pretty good first half and then came out second half and imploded. Same thing today. Like I said, there was a lot going on with Caleb. So I'm going to scratch this one and just say we'll be better, moving forward. And you got to give Tulsa credit, man. They never gave up. They made shots the second half that they didn't make the first half. So let's not gloss over that this team didn't fight hard enough and make the shots that they needed to make. I mean, Carlos Williams, 4 for 6 from 3. One was a bank, but the other 3 were good shots. I mean, he hadn't made threes all year. So at the end of the day, they needed every last one of those shots to put themselves in position. They did, and we luckily got the victory.
And then Naquan Tomlin was the second part of that question is, what did he show you tonight about what he can be for this team moving forward?
Yeah, Naquan is super talented, man, and he is someone that's just willing to do whatever it takes for us to win. He got 25 minutes tonight, 7 rebounds. I mean, he's just, it's just getting his feet wet and still trying to learn new players, new system. Has to be shocking, but for him to be able to contribute like this, shooting at a high percentage, playing great defense, and rebounding the basketball, I mean, we're blessed to have him.